You wanting to increase your motivation, or maybe you're not feeling so motivated. Well, today I'm going to give you 3 ways to do this. And if you stay until the end, I have an extra point for you then. Now, if you want to stay tuned for all the latest episodes and keep up to date and get a weekly confidence tip, all you got to do is sign up for our free newsletter. And how you do that is just click in that link in the show notes below. Absolutely free, and you get weekly insights and emails on that. So, motivation. Like, I'm a human being. So many times in my life, I've lacked motivation. Sometimes to get up on time, sometimes to go and do some exercise. Sometimes it's to go and do like my work if it's a bit mundane. Sometimes it was to go and revise when I was at school. Right, I'm a human being at the end of the day, and sometimes I still made myself, and sometimes I didn't. Right, and I learned through age, through my growth, more and more about motivation. Now, what I've learned is motivation is a very poor thing as a driver to do something. Sometimes you just have to push through it. Now, I'm going to talk about some ways about how you can stay a little bit more motivated, perhaps if it's really, really a struggle. Yeah, that's what I really want to share, that actually it's a very poor thing to do. It's about ultimately the systems you've got in place that are going to keep you going, the habits, the structure in your life. Because going to the gym, for example, going to the gym planning to go to the gym for 2 hours a day after you haven't been to the gym for 6 months is not sustainable. That's why people quit in January so quickly. Now, most people start their New Year's resolutions have probably given up right now. Okay. I don't set them because I think they're BS, right? I just have goals and targets all the time. I don't care what time of year it is, right? Okay. So motivation is a very poor thing in order to actually keep yourself going on something. You need systems and structure. And that's what I want to say. But I do want to give you some things that are really going to keep that motivation and actually allow you to keep going. Because I was just on the workshop with Grant Cardone, and the guy is always like going, and I could tell his energy. And I kind of thought about this, and I wanted to make an episode on this. Now, I want to ask you this: how is it helping you by always looking for motivation for a driver, yet you don't feel motivated? You probably feel like you're not getting towards where you want to be, or not getting as much done, if that's the case, right? And I've certainly been in that boat, right? Okay, so how to increase motivation or have better habits, right? So the first thing I want to say is have simple, consistent actions. If you're wanting to go to the gym, set yourself 20 minutes a day, right, of exercise maybe, and make it as easy as possible for you to do. There's a great book called Atomic Habits by James Clear that will go more into this for you. And actually, what he talks about is a client he had in there that hated go to the gym, and all he set as his client's target each day was to turn up to the gym and he could go home, right? But the client got there and went, you know what, I'm here now, might as well stay and exercise. And he built a habit, and more of a habit for going to the gym as a result. And all he was set was to go there, right? He wasn't set go to the gym for 2 hours a day because his mind would go, too hard, and give up. He would just set the target of going to the gym. Okay, the second point I want to say is, if things are really feeling like a push, then go into your body, take some time out and actually feel it, right? Feel into the body. Is there like a part of you that's resisting? Because maybe you're not in alignment with where you want to go. Now, sometimes you will be able to tell, right? But if you're consistently like not motivated about something and you're always pushing yourself, maybe that thing's not right for your life. Now, obviously you've got to have a systematic approach to changing that. Like if you really feel unmotivated to go to your job every day, and you don't have enough money to just leave, you don't just suddenly leave. Obviously, you got to make some kind of transition plan. Well, that's what I personally believe. Some people do that, but anyway, that would be my personal approach to it. But yeah, just go into the body and actually start listening to yourself. Just sit in silence, 5, 10, 20 minutes a day. Start with 5. And actually say, right, where am I finding it really hard to push against? Because that may be an indicator that if you're not motivated consistently in that area, that actually it might not be right for you. And then the third thing is to remember to celebrate. Like, it's such a basic one, but we forget. Pat yourself on the back, praise yourself, say, well done. followed by your name, and then have a smile, because that's going to encourage you to do more of it. Think about it. When someone goes, you did a great job today, you probably felt pretty good. Well, you can do the same to yourself. Now, I've got an extra point for you in a minute. I just wanted to mention again that if you want to keep up with the weekly confidence episodes and you want to have a weekly extra confidence tip, then you can sign up for our free newsletter linked in the show notes below. Okay, an extra point I wanted to share. Now, some of these, I just also want to say this on my podcast. Often people are like, you know, I love what you share and they're so simple and effective. And sometimes I repeat the same things, yet knowing and doing are two different things. So that's why I like to share things that maybe I've shared before, because the most simple, like as my mentors teach, they're like the most effective, simple things, yet people don't do them because we try and make it too complicated. So therefore, do make sure you implement things that resonate with you from this podcast. All right. Okay. Now, my bonus point I wanted to share is accountability. You might have heard of this, and accountability from someone else is really, really helpful, because I have an accountability partner, Nick. He's a great guy, and I tell him what I'm doing every week. So I'm motivated to do it because I've written it down, I've declared it, and I want to be consistent with myself. We're often more likely to show up if we told someone else we're going to do it as well. Now, that you might have heard that as an idea. Maybe you have, maybe you haven't. I wanted to add something extra to it because it's quite a common thing people talk about, accountability and personal growth. Yet this is just what I found in addition is useful. As you go through your week, notice good and bad habits that you've got, right? Or maybe notice, good and bad habits, and then maybe missing habits, right? And what that means is maybe you're eating too much junk food, maybe you're spending too much money, and just log it, right? Because if we don't log it and pay attention to it, then it just continues, because it's usually driven from our unconscious, right? Now, if you know, like recently I noticed I spent a bit more money than I've meant to. So what I've done is I've told Nick, I'm going to limit myself to this amount of spend this week on this card only. And that makes me accountable. So start becoming more self-aware of what you're doing. And when you do that, it's going to keep you more motivated to do these good habits, because what that's doing is you're declaring it to someone else as well. But just become aware of these and then note them as you go through the week as well. So that's what I've got for you today. I appreciate you for being here. You're improving other people's lives with being the best you. And remember, you are in control of your own self-esteem and confidence.